Hi everybody, this is Lisa and it's time for another Burbling class, and in this hour we are going to be doing some reading. I chose a different type of article today. Oftentimes I like to choose articles about success or business or technology or the news or something like that. But for today's class, I chose an article about relationships, and it's coming from a website, a psychology website, so it's a different topic than usual. I thought it was interesting and that it might be good for a discussion after we are finished reading the article. So hopefully everybody will show up and we will see what everybody thinks about this article, both men and women in the class. So if you have a reservation for the class, you can go ahead and use that reservation that you already got. I think we had 8 reservations, and so there's 1 left, and we'll see who shows up. If you see the Join Class button, then you can click on it now and come into the class. So I want to make sure everybody has the article. It does look like people are looking at it. You're reading it maybe and checking it out. I'm going to put it right there in the chat. So the link to the article is in the Burbling chat. Like I said, it's a psychology article. It's about marriage. And the title is 5 Reasons Not to Marry the One You Love. So this, of course, is an opinion piece. It's from, I think she's a medical doctor, PhD, maybe, education. I think she has a doctorate in education. And yeah, so I want to just say hi to everybody and make sure your microphones are all working and just welcome you to the class. Hi, Adrian. How are you? Are you there? Adrian? Cardas? If I'm not hearing you, it's probably because your microphone is muted, so you have to just make sure that when you are speaking, that your microphone's not working. Okay, Aisha, how are you?
Hi, Lisa. Good, and you?
Good. How's Montreal?
It's been chilly this day, but it looks like it's getting warmer.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that's what happens here too in Washington State, where I live. Spring comes and it gets pretty sunny and warm, and then in June it can be kind of overcast, misty, cold a little bit. So, yeah. Okay, hi Alpha. Hi Beatrice, how are you?
Fine, and you?
Good, great.
Okay.
And Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Hello,
Great.
Lisa. Hello, everyone.
Dennis, what time is it right now in Russia?
It's midnight.
Okay, wow. Okay, you're up late. Okay, welcome. Javier, how are you?
Hi, I am good. You?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Luz Marina, how are you?
Hi, Lisa. Fine, and you?
I'm doing well. I haven't had you in a class for a while. Good to have you back.
Yes.
Yeah. For different people, different times work. So sometimes I have the same people in certain classes. So my schedule's kind of all over the place. Sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. So, yeah. And Selma, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, teacher.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so everybody sounds like your microphones are working. Alpha's quiet. Adrian, did you get your microphone to work? Is it going to work?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, good. Awesome.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you from?
I'm from Romania, but I've been living in France for more than 20 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Interesting. My kids were just in France for the last 3 weeks, and they're coming home today. They were with their dad and their grandparents. So I'll get to hear their stories of France. Okay, everybody. Did you all go to the article? Because now I'm going to give it one more time. And I know that there are often people who are just watching the class and listening to us who are also reading the article, and that's fine as well. And I'm going to put it in the screen share so that we can read it on the screen. So you have two options. You can, I make it a big font so that we can see it if you're just looking at the screen. But also, it's easier usually if you open it in another window. So what I like to do is have two windows open, one that has the article and then one that has the Google Hangouts, and then I switch back and forth. So that's how I do it. All right, so the way I do the reading class is I usually highlight what I'm reading so everybody can see that what I'm reading, and I read out loud, and while I'm reading out loud, that's the time for you to listen and read along in your mind and listen to how I'm pronouncing the words, and then also think of any words that you might not understand. If you want to ask me a question, you can, and I'll be happy to explain what the word or the phrase means. And then I'm going to call on students, just go in order, and you'll have a turn to read out loud too. So that's where you get to practice your reading and your pronunciation. And then I'll go over some words that may be new for some people, and answer any questions. And then I think we're going to read. It's not too long, but it's enough that I want to read it first through, and then we'll discuss it, because it's probably going to spark some ideas in your head and maybe remind you of some of your own experiences in your life if you've been married or want to get married or something, or know somebody who's gotten married for different reasons. So I'm going to get started, and let's see, how many people do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have room for one more person in the Google Hangout. If you're out there in Verbling land watching, you can click on the Join Class button and come in at any time and read with us. Okay? All right, 5 reasons not to marry the one you love. For many young girls, being a bride is the closest thing possible to living out childhood fantasies of being a princess. The wedding industry and bridal magazines collaborate in spinning the myth, finding the perfect prince, put on the perfect wedding pageant, and live happily ever after. Okay, Adrian?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
5 Reasons Not to Marry the One You Love by Mary Hartwell Walker. For many young girls, being a bride is the closest thing possible to living out childhood fantasies of being a princess. The wedding industry and bridal magazines collaborate in spinning the myth. Find the perfect prince, put on the perfect wedding pageant, and live happily ever after.
Yeah. Okay, so she's starting off her article kind of setting the scene for us with a lot of girls, young girls, wanting to be brides. So you guys know what the bride is, the person who's getting married to the groom. That's the bride and the groom. And so she's talking about childhood fantasy. So you guys probably know these are stories that you make up in your mind that you wanted to be when you grow up and things like that. So a lot of girls, especially because of the kind of books that they read and things when they're young, they look to the movies and they dream of getting married to a prince. And of course, the wedding industry is a pretty big industry. An industry is like the businesses that are revolving around a certain topic, like a wedding. So there's bridal magazines and all the other things that go along with marriage and getting married. And they spin the myth. When you're spinning something, like a story, that's what you're doing. You're making up the story. So they keep spinning this myth. They keep, in their magazines, of course, making you think that you're going to find the perfect person and you'll be living happily ever after. And this word here, pageant, if I say it, pageant, the wedding pageant is another name for like a wedding event. So a pageant, sometimes we have beauty pageants. That's where the women go and you have a competition. But a wedding pageant isn't a competition. It's just an event. It's another name for an event. Okay? It's an alluring story for almost everyone. How could it not be? For the unhappy, the alone, and the lonely, it can be an intoxicating idea. Getting married can seem like the end of all a girl's problems. Getting married can seem like a way to get a new start. Okay, Aisha.
It's an alluring story for almost everyone. How could it not be? For the unhappy, the alone, and the lonely, it can be an intoxicating idea. Getting married can seem like the end of all a girl's problem. Getting married can seem like a way to get a new start.
So if something is alluring, it's kind of like it's alluring you to something. It makes you want to know more about it or want it or to have it. So, for example, you could describe the jewelry in a store as alluring because you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I want to have that ring or something. So being married and finding your prince can sound very nice to people. It can be something that people dream about or want. Especially if you're unhappy or lonely or something, it can be an intoxicating idea. Intoxicating is usually you use that word when you're talking about getting drunk, drinking alcohol, and you get intoxicated. But it can also be used to describe how the feeling you have when something makes you feel that way. It makes you feel intoxicated, like you're drunk or you're high or you just feel really relaxed or something. So it's an idea that can make you feel it's not real, for example. Okay? And I think you guys probably understand all the rest of that. Ending your problem and getting a new start. It doesn't work that way. Marrying as a solution to painful circumstances almost never leads to a good and lasting marriage. Marriages that are a conscious or unconscious way out of a difficult situation don't have the staying power that comes with mature love, shared values, and a commitment to the future by two mature adults. Okay, Beatriz.
Okay, sure. No, it doesn't work that way. Marrying is a solution to painful circumstances almost never leads to a good and lasting marriage. Marriages that are a consensus or unconscious way out of a difficult situation don't have the staying power that comes with mature love, shared values, and a commitment to the future by two mature adults.
Good. Yeah. So it doesn't work that way. Marrying as a solution. So a solution is to solve a problem. So if you're having a problem, marriage is not probably going to be a good solution to these types of things. It can lead to painful circumstances, or marrying as a solution to painful circumstances. So that's what she described up there. If you're lonely or you feel alone or something's going on for you, your circumstances are the things that are happening in your life. And if they're painful, you might look for a solution. And sometimes people think that getting married to somebody will help them feel better. But this author in this article is not agreeing with that. Okay? Marriages that are conscious. So conscious means you are aware, know what you're doing, or unconscious is when you don't really know why you're doing something, you're just doing it anyway, so you're not really aware. When something has staying power, that means if the relationship has staying power, it means you're going to be in that relationship for a very long time, or in that marriage. You can also describe other things as having staying power, like if you're in the business and you have employees and you want to describe them as having staying power, that means you think they're going to be around at your company for a long time, that they're good employees and they're going to be there. I think you guys know mature. Everybody know mature. I'm talking about not just being older, because just because you're older doesn't mean you are more mature, but it's more a way of expressing somebody who is, you've learned a lot in life, now you're making good decisions. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far? I'm going over some of the things that you may or may not know, but if you want me to just explain something else, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. All right, here are my top 5 mistaken reasons that people marry. Number 1, to escape the family of origin. Jackie's parents are brutal. She hasn't felt loved just about ever. Her mother is constantly critical. Her father scares her, especially when he drinks. Her younger sister seems bent on setting her up to be the target so she can fly under the radar of parental chaos. For Jackie, marrying her boyfriend as soon as they graduate from high school this June seems like a way out. Okay, here we go. All right, Dennis.
Okay. Here are my top 5 mistaken reasons that people marry. 1. To escape the family of origin. Jackie's parents are brutal. She hasn't felt love just about ever. Her mother is constantly critical. Her father scares her, especially when he drinks. Her younger sister seems bent on setting her up to be the target so she can fly under the radar of parental chaos. 4. Jackie marrying her boyfriend as soon as they graduate from high school this June seems like a way out.
Yes, good. All right, there's a lot of expressions in this one little paragraph here. But let me just say, so to escape the family of origin. Your family of origin is basically your parents and your brothers and sisters. So sometimes people don't have a good family situation. Brutal means maybe they're abusive, maybe they are emotionally or verbally abusive. So somebody who is being brutal is being very harsh, very crass, very mean. And she doesn't feel loved. Critical, her mom's always criticizing her constantly, means all the time. And she's scared by her father. And her younger sister seems bent on. That's a phrasal verb. It means that that's what she wants. Like, it seems like her sister seems to want to set her up to be the target so that her sister can fly under the radar. That means that if she's the target of her parents' frustration, for example, then they'll leave her younger sister alone. That's what that means. So she's going to fly under the radar. That means she's going to not be noticed by her parents who are having their own chaos or problem. Okay, so she thinks that if she marries, she'll get out of this. So it's a way out. If you're looking for a way out of something, it means you want to escape. You want to get out of the situation. So yes, some families are abusive. Some parents don't know how to love and protect. Some are so toxic that the only way to survive is to flee. But flight into an early marriage with a teenage sweetheart or just anybody who is willing isn't a good enough foundation for a marriage. The fear that spurs flight can cloud a person's judgment about who would really make a good partner. It's easy to romanticize someone who offers an alternative to daily ridicule and pain. Okay. Javier?
Okay. Yes, some families are abusive. Some parents don't know how to love and protect. Some are so toxic that the only way to survive is to flee. But fly into an early marriage with a teenage sweetheart, or just anybody who is willing, isn't a good enough foundation for a marriage. The fear that supports flight can cloud a person's judgment about who will really make a good partner. It's easy to romanticize someone who offers an alternative to daily ridicule and pain.
Yeah. So this word daily, you just want to make sure you say the long A sound there. Daily ridicule. Okay? All right. So yeah, abusive, that means, you know, they're not very nice. They are actually abusing you in some way. They don't know how to love you, protect you. They're toxic. When you describe somebody or something as toxic, that's another way to say that it's not a good situation for you. It's not healthy. So you can describe a relationship as toxic. You can describe a food as toxic or some other kind of substance as toxic. Yeah, and so to survive, you have to flee. That means to escape. That's another way of saying to escape or to get out of a situation. But the flight, here we're talking these are kind of, she's using the same kind of imagery here, flying under the radar, to flee, and to flight. So, but flight into an early marriage. That means leaving and getting into an early marriage with a sweetheart. So that's your boyfriend. You describe them as your sweetheart. It's not a good idea. It's not a good enough foundation. So a foundation is what you build something on. So if you're looking at a house, for example, a house is built usually on some type of a foundation. And so if you want to build a successful marriage, people talk about having a good foundation. So it's things that will help you be able to stay married for a long time if that's what you want. Okay. The fear that spurs flight. So spur in this case means that gets you going. So there's the fear, and it spurs you to leave. So that's what she means there when she says spurs flight. It's what motivates you to leave. And cloud a person's judgment. When judgment is clouded, it means you're not thinking clearly. So your judgment can be clouded by what's happening in your family. You think it's a good idea, but it's not. And you can romanticize someone. So that's like you are not really clear about who they are, but you just dream about them. All right? And the daily ridicule is when you're being, like your parents are being abusive, they're ridiculing you, making fun of you, being critical, that type of thing. Okay. Sorry, my phone's ringing in the background there. All right, number 2, because it's the next logical thing, Tony and Melody have been dating. All right, so this is number 2. You shouldn't get married just because it's the next logical thing in your relationship, for example. So the story that goes with this is Tony and Melody have been dating since they were 14. Neither of them has ever dated anyone else or even considered it. They've been best friends and lovers through their teen years, went to the same college, and have been talking for years about what kind of house they'd like to have someday and what their kids' names will be. Tony's parents adore Melody. Melody's parents think Tony is a fine match for their daughter. It only makes sense for them to get married, or does it? Okay. Luz Marina.
Okay. 2 reasons. Because it's the next logical thing. Tony and Melody have been dating since they were 14. Neither of them has ever dated anyone else or even considered it. They have been best friends and lovers through their teen years, went to the same college, and have been talking for years about what kind of house they'd like to have someday and what their kids' names will be. Tony's parents adore Melody. Melody's parents think Tony is a fine match for their daughter. It only makes sense for them to get married, or that's it?
Yeah. So this is kind of like, the next logical thing. So it's another way you hear it is the next logical step. So it's just like, everything's going okay. You think it's like the next thing that you should happen. And this is a story of that. So they've been going out, and let's see, any words in there? They've never considered it. When you consider something, is you think about it, but they never really thought about dating anybody else. And they've been talking about it. Her parents adore Melody, so they like her. And if you think somebody is a fine match, that means if you're the father or the mother, you want your daughter or your son to find a good person who matches them to get married to. And so they think he's a fine match. And so it seems to make sense that they should get married. Let's see what this lady says. Neither Tony nor Melody has a clue about who they are without the other. They have never tested themselves as individuals, never been anywhere or done anything significant that didn't involve the other. Sometimes couples like them can last, but often enough, the growing up that happens in the 20s means growing apart. As they enter careers that introduce them to new people and new experiences, one or the other of them may well begin to wonder if they would make the same choice now as they did when they were 14. Okay. Salman.
Neither Tony nor Melody has a clue about who they are without the other. They have never tested themselves as individuals, never been anywhere or done anything significant that didn't involve the other. Sometimes couples like them can last, but often enough the growing up that happens in the 20s means growing apart, as they enter careers that introduce them to new people and new experiences. One or the other of them may well begin to wonder if they would make the same choice now as they did when they were 14.
Right. So they don't really know themselves. That's what she's saying. They didn't do anything significant that didn't involve the others. Significant means important, and that didn't involve. So they were always together, always growing up together. And what she's saying is a lot of times you might grow apart. So when two people grow apart, it just means that one person's becomes interested in learning about certain things, and the other person is interested in different things, and so they're still learning and growing individually, but they're not really finding so much in common anymore, and they don't really necessarily have a lot to talk about maybe, or a lot that interests them. So that can happen sometimes. People grow apart as they grow up and learn more about themselves. And careers, you guys probably know that. Your job, okay? And make the same choice. So they don't know if they would make the same choice. All right. Number 3, to fix the other person. So that's another reason not to marry a person. Joey and Marianne agree on one important thing. He needs fixing. He needs her. He feels empty and desperate without her. He says he will die if she leaves him. He has even threatened suicide if she tries. She has an idea that she can rescue him and that she gives meaning to his life. That idea gives meaning to hers. Neither of these people has a strong sense of self or life goals they are passionate about. All right, I'm going to stop there. All right. Okay, Adrian.
To fix the other person. Joey and Marianne agree on one important thing. He needs fixing. He needs her. He feels empty and desperate without her. He says he will die if she leaves him. He has even threatened suicide if she tries. She has an idea that she can rescue him and that she gives meaning to his life. That idea gives meaning to hers. Neither of these people has a strong sense of self or life goals they are passionate about.
Yeah. Okay. So fixing, yeah, desperate. To feel desperate means you don't know what to do. You feel afraid or anxious or scared. So he feels like he needs to be with her, or else he doesn't feel safe. He feels empty. It means he doesn't feel satisfied. And he even threatened suicide. When you threaten to do something, that means you're telling somebody, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this. And so he was saying that. So that's what threatened means. You can also threaten somebody to, like, you're going to hurt them or something like that. So she thinks she can rescue him. But they don't have a strong sense of self. So think about themselves. They don't have, another word that's very popular is self-esteem. And then, of course, life goals, things that they want to do in their life, things that they really love to do, that they're passionate about. The intensity of their relationship consumes them and distracts them from finding and maintaining good friends or good work. They are each other's everything. What they fail to understand is that by being so wrapped up in the drama of saving him, neither one of them is developing personally into the adult they could be. It's unlikely that Marianne can, quote, save Joey when Joey doesn't really want to stand on his own feet. A marriage created on these terms is likely to be disastrous for them both. Okay, Asia.
Yes. The intensity of the relationship consumes them and distracts them from fighting and maintaining good friends for good work. They are each other's everything. What they fail to understand is that by being so wrapped up in the drama of saving him, neither one of them is developing personality into the other. They could. Can you scroll down with that? Wrapped up in the drama of saving him, neither one of them is developing personality into the adult they could be. It's unlikely what Marian can save Joe, when Joe doesn't really want to stand on his own feet. A marriage created on these terms is likely to be disastrous for them both.
Okay. So the intensity, it means it's very lots of feelings, lots of emotions, and it consumes them, takes up all of their time, and it also, when you're distracted, it means you're not being able to focus on one thing, but you're doing something else. So, for example, they're so consumed with each other that they're being distracted from doing other things that would be good for each of them, like finding friends or finding work. They are each other's everything. So that means that they're so wrapped up in each other. And that's what this is another phrasal verb here, wrapped up in the drama. So if you're up in the drama of something, that means that you're busy doing that. You can't get away from that. You're just totally involved in this relationship, and it's dramatic because it's, of course, he's going to die. He thinks he's going to die if she doesn't be with him and all this kind of stuff. So, but they're not developing into adults personally, each one of them individually, and so she's saying it's not really a good way to start a marriage, because they need to be able to stand on, well, he needs to be able to stand on his own feet. That's a common expression. When you tell somebody you have to stand on your own feet, it means you have to take care of yourself. You have to be able to get a job, take care of yourself, not rely on other people to take care of you. And disastrous just means that it would be a failure, basically. It would not be a good idea for them to get married. All right, number 4, another reason not to marry somebody is because you want to legitimize sex. To legitimize sex. So to make sex okay, for a lot of people, they have a belief that you should not have sex with somebody unless you are married, so that's what happens sometimes. Angie and Nick both come from deeply religious families. Angie pledged she would stay pure until marriage. Nick agreed that it was very important to wait until their wedding to have sex. But a combination of hormones and alcohol overtook those good intentions, and they had sex. They liked it. They rationalized continuing to be intimate, but the guilt that came with it made them both miserable. To them, getting married makes going against their own values at least a little okay. Never mind that they each had some doubts about the relationship before they fell into bed with each other. Never mind that they each still kind of blame the other for what happened. Those seeds of doubt and blame are likely to fester and grow. Marriage may make them feel less guilty about having sex, but it won't resolve other issues that undermine their relationship. All right, it's kind of a long one there. All right, Beatriz.
4. To legitimize sex. Angie and Nick both come from deeply religious families. Angie pledged she would stay pure until marriage. Nick agreed that it was very important to wait until their wedding to have sex. But a combination of hormones and alcohol overtook those good intentions. They had sex. They liked it. They rationalized.
Yeah.
Rationalized. It's really difficult, this word.
Yeah, so you can just rationalized.
Rationalized.
Yeah, right, perfect.
continuing to be intimate, but the guilt that came with it made them both miserable. To them, getting married means going against their own values at least alike okay. Never mind that they each had some doubts about their relationships before they fell into bed with each other. Never mind that they each still kind of blame the other for what happened. Those seeds of doubt and blame are likely to fester and grow. Marriage might make them feel less guilty about having sex, but it won't resolve other issues that undermine their relationship.
Good. All right. Yeah. So to legitimize, to make it okay, they come from very religious families. So if you describe somebody as very religious or deeply is very, that means maybe they're Christian or Catholic or something, and so it's not really okay. You know, it goes against what their teachings are for that religion. And she would stay pure, so that just means like not have sex. They thought it was important to wait. The hormones, you guys probably know what the hormones are, the hormones that make you want to have sex. And alcohol. So they were drinking and it overtook. So it overrated, or it just was too powerful. So even though they had good intention was what they wanted to do, they wanted to wait, but this mixture or combination made it so that they actually did. All right, then they rationalized. That means they came up with reasons for it. So they rationalized it by saying that they would just get married, but because they were starting to feel, they were feeling ashamed. So to them, getting married made it so that it was okay. So they could rationalize it. That means you give an excuse. Yeah, well, it's because we were going to get married anyways. So that's what they would say about it, for example. And when you say this word, never mind, these two words, never mind that. So you're kind of like when you say, oh, never mind, that means just forget about that. So they're kind of forgetting about all these other things. And they still blame. So they're blaming each other. That means they're saying it's your fault. And those were the seeds of doubt and blame are likely to fester. So to fester means kind of like sit there, and those doubts and blaming each other are going to start growing. So to fester is, you think about something that's just sitting there and kind of boiling, or it's going to start growing in a little bit. And that's what can happen in a relationship, she's saying. It's going to grow and get worse. So that if they do get married, they're probably going to have other problems, other issues that will undermine. So when you undermine somebody or something, it means it's going to affect it in a negative way. So those kinds of things are going to crop up later in their marriage and probably be hard for them to deal with. All right, number 5, last one. To avoid being alone. Robin is terrified. She's always had a boyfriend since she was 13. She has dated a number of guys, but always had someone new lined up before she ended a relationship. Now, 22, she's just been dumped by the most recent boyfriend for being too needy. A demanding project at work has meant long hours at the office and no time to look for someone new. She hates being alone in her apartment at night. She doesn't know what to do with herself on weekends. She feels empty and scared. All right, stop there. Okay, I think it was Dennis? Dennis, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Number 5. Childhood being alone. Robin is terrified. She's always had a boyfriend since she was 13. She has dated a number of guys, but always had someone new lined up before she ended a relationship. Now 22, she's just been dumped by the most recent boyfriend for being too needy. A demanding project at work has meant long hours at the office and no time to look for someone new. She hates being alone in her apartment at night. She doesn't know what to do with herself on weekends. She feels empty and scared.
So she's terrified. It's another word for scared. She's always had somebody lined up, a new one lined you have somebody lined up, it means like the next person in line. So you have like a line of people already ready to go. So before she would stop with one guy, she would already have a new guy in mind. She'd just been dumped. So when you have been dumped by someone, that means they broke with you. So you could say he dumped her or she dumped him. But she was her latest boyfriend, or the most recent, thought she was too needy. She was probably just needed him too much, and he wanted more freedom, that kind of idea. She had a demanding project at work. So the project was described as demanding, means that just she had a lot to do. She had to spend a lot of time working in the office on that project. So she didn't have any time. She had no time to look. And she doesn't know what to do with herself. She's empty and scared. So she's tried calling her ex, but he's put off by her tears. She's running through her files for someone, anyone, who can fill up the hole in her life. She's likely to fall in marriage with the first guy who shows interest, just so she'll never have to feel this way again. Okay, Javier.
Okay, she's tried calling her ex, but he's put off by her tears. She's running through her files for someone, anyone who can fill up the hole in her life. She's likely to fall into marriage with the first guy who shows interest, just so she'll never have to feel this way again.
Mm-hmm. So he's put off. If you're put off by someone or something, it means you like it. So she called her ex-boyfriend, and he just didn't like that she was crying and stuff, so he didn't really give her any attention. So she's running through her files. She's not literally running through. That means she's going through her files, all the names and numbers of boyfriends and things like that that she's had in the past, because she's trying to fill up the hole. That means she's just trying to feel better. She has this hole, which is no boyfriend, and she's trying to get herself some kind of a relationship. And so this author of the article says she's likely to fall into marriage. So that's a phrasal verb there, expression, to fall into. So she basically means she's going to marry the first guy who likes her, so that she doesn't have to be lonely anymore. Marriage does provide a partner in life, but it doesn't guarantee that the partner will be good at partnering. Sometimes people like Robin luck out and find someone who is truly willing and able to be their best friend and companion. More often, they are terribly disappointed. In their rush to marry, to fend off their fear of abandonment, they didn't take the time to find someone who shared their interests and values. Okay, Selma. Wait, or was it Luz? Was it your turn?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Marriage does provide a partner in life, but it doesn't guarantee that the partner will be good at partnering. Sometimes people like Robin luck out and find someone who is truly willing and able to be their best friend and companion. More often, they are terribly disappointed in their rush to marry to fend off their fear of abandonment. They didn't take the time to find someone who shared their interests and values. Wow, yep. Terrible.
Their interests and values. Okay, good. So it does provide. So to provide means it gives you a partner. So yeah, you get married, you will have a partner. But that's not a guarantee. So a guarantee is something that is for sure. So it's not a for sure thing that just because you have a partner that it'll be a good partner. But you might luck out. So there's another expression we use. If you luck out, that means you get lucky. You have a good fortune to find someone who is willing. So that means they are wanting the same thing. They want to be your friend and companion. And but more often, you're terribly disappointed. So if you get married because of these reasons, you will be probably disappointed. In their rush to marry. So if you are in a rush to do something, it means you're in a hurry. You want to do it very quickly. So if you're in a rush to get married because you want to fend off, that means you want to make sure you don't have to worry about something. You fend it off. So she wants to make sure to get married so that she doesn't have a fear of abandonment. Abandonment is when somebody leaves you, or when you're lonely and you don't have anybody, any friends or boyfriends, or in that case. All right, but it's probably not going to work out. You have to. The person who wrote the article is saying that it's important to find people who have your same interests and values. She says men can be as vulnerable to making these mistakes as women. Older people aren't exempt either. Regardless of age or gender, the desire to marry, to have a constant partner, and to share a life is a healthy one. However, a wedding that's a mistaken solution to personal or couple problems won't guarantee a happily ever after marriage. Okay, Selma.
Men can be as vulnerable to making these mistakes as women. Older people aren't exempt either. Regardless of age or gender, the desire to marry, to have a constant partner, and to share a life is a healthy one. However, a wedding that's mistaken solution to personal or couple problems won't guarantee a happily ever after marriage.
Mm-hmm. So men can be vulnerable. That means that this can happen to them too. They're not so strong or all-knowing to not make the same mistakes as women might in getting married. And that older people aren't exempt. That means that they can make problem or have the same problems with getting married as well. When you are exempt from something, that means it doesn't count for you. But that's not true of the older people. They still make similar mistakes in their reasons for getting married. And it doesn't matter your age or your gender either. And she's just saying it's the desire to marry is normal, it's healthy, but it's not a solution to personal problems. All right, that requires a union of two complete and whole adults who love each other deeply, unselfishly, and respectfully, and who share a commitment to keep their wedding vows. Only then can a bond be created that withstands life's challenges and deepens over time. Okay, Adrian?
That requires a union of two complete and whole adults who love each other deeply, unselfishly, and respectfully, and who share a commitment to keep their wedding vows.
Mm-hmm.
Only then can a bond be created that withstands life's challenges and deepens over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that requires, that means it needs. So you need to have a union. That means two people coming together who are already complete and whole adults, and that they love each other deeply, unselfishly, and respectfully. And they want to make a commitment to their wedding vows. The wedding vows, you say to each other on your wedding day that you are going to promise to be together, whatever your vows are. Sometimes wedding vows are typical traditional wedding vows, and sometimes people write their own these days. All right, and only then can a bond. So a bond is something you together. It's what is created when two people really care about each other. They have some kind of a bond, and it withstands. So if something can withstand something, it means even if you have a hard time, you're going to make it through. So you can describe a relationship or a marriage as withstanding challenges or hardships, and then it can deepen over time. So bond can get even stronger over time. Okay, so that's it for the article. This is the link right there to the actual website where I got the article, if you want to read it on the website or see other articles. Like I said, this is a kind of a psychology topic, I guess, sociology, human interest. And so now I want to talk about the article, and I want to find out what you guys think about it. Do you agree with the author and her different reasons for not to marry, or do you have any personal stories you want to share, or anything? So, Aisha, what do you think about these ideas of reasons why you wouldn't want to get married? Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think marriage is something serious. You should not rush to marry, and you should wait to know your partner. And but it's the other thing is you maybe sometimes you wait, you think you are find the one, and it's not turning good. So I think marriage it's a guess. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes not.
So
But
yeah.
you have to take the chance, and you will see. But do not rush, to take your time to be sure. Yes,
Yeah.
maybe that will give you an peace if it turn wrong.
Yeah.
I think.
So you got to take your best educated guess and chance.
Yeah, and if at least if it turn wrong, you can say at the beginning I was sure, and you can not put all the blame on you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I understand. Beatriz, what do you think? Do you agree with what the author of this article is saying, or?
Yes, I agree with it. I think it's really interesting because before that I have never think about all of these things. And I think people should marry if they try find people who share their time and they are in love with people.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because some of these situations are really difficult, and maybe if you are in these cases, maybe you want to marry too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does seem true that everybody has their own reasons for getting married, and it may or may not last, even if they were really good reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Dennis? You're a psychologist. Do you work with families, like couples? That is.
Yes, sometimes.
What do you think about this lady's ideas?
Actually, I can speak for a long time about such stuff. I don't know, it's a very strange article for me. It's very strange, how can I say, predictions. And very strange conclusions sometimes. For example, I absolutely don't understand what means, for example, union of two complete and whole adults. What is complete and whole adults?
Right.
Sounds very, very strange.
That's getting more like into a philosophy of what does it even mean to be a complete adult, and does anybody ever get to be a complete adult, or are we always learning and growing more about ourselves and our relationship with others, you know? Yeah.
Marriage is one step in development of your personality.
Right.
So, and it's said 2 times about, I don't know,
about growing up or something, like.
Maybe it will take a long time to speak in details, but
yeah.
It was 2 times about personality and marriage, and it seems like they distract from each other, yeah?
Yeah.
But it's absolutely not the same. And for example, first one example, it's completely strange. I don't know. It's
to escape the family origin.
Yeah, it's a very extreme example. People always try to escape the family and just start to live on its own. It's not about brutal family. It's not about father who drinks all this stuff, and the question about it is very strange. I don't know. It's very strange. I completely disagree. It's very mm, very questionable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe even the whole idea of well, it sounds like you're saying maybe marriage is an idea that it doesn't have to be forever, but maybe getting married is part of your own evolution as a human being, and it may or may not last, but it's not the end all if you don't stay married forever, because you've been learning and growing anyways, and it's part of your life. So that's the interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the end of your life when
Right.
you
Yeah.
already whole and complete and you get married.
Yeah. Right. Right. And like Aisha was saying, maybe you can't, you don't want to wait because you also may miss opportunities or something. So you have to just kind of go with your best, take your chances and see how it goes. Yeah.
Yes, and about choice.
Uh-huh.
You just can't test all people around you.
Right.
To choose the right person. It sounds very strange, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Javier, what do you think? Do you have any agreement or disagreements with the article, or what do you think about getting married?
Yes, about marriage, I think
Yeah.
that is an important step in the life.
Yeah.
For each person, but in this article is very important, very informative. This article, because there are a lot of reasons for the people get married.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this article is the truth in a lot of countries.
Yeah.
In the mine, for example, and that is the reason for that the people now get a lot of divorce.
Yes.
Because, for example, there are a lot of bad reasons why the people get married.
Mm-hmm.
That I am not accord with that,
Yes.
But it's the truth that
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that, but it's very important, very informative, this article,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, and Luz, what do you think? What have you?
Yes. When we read this test,
Yes.
For me, it's very hard. Think, and in this moment, the childs, the girls and the boys, married for the reason. Not is possible.
Yeah.
In other century is possible, but in this moment not.
Yeah.
It's possible when the people is very, for example, the girl or is very poor or very not, or the culture is very difficult. But in this moment, I think it's very hard. For example, the point fourth.
Yeah.
No, it's impossible. For example, I think, and in Spanish says, hormona mata neurona. Then it's impossible. The people take a very important decision in our life for this reason. No. If you take a relationship, get married, fall in love, and it's very difficult. In the contrary, for other reason, for example, for the reason the text says, it's very hard.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think the person in the article was basically, probably trying to address some of the reasons why we have such high divorce rates. Of course, this article is written for Americans, online for an American website. So I think our divorce rate's over 50% or more, probably. And so, a lot of people think that when they're getting married, it's going to be forever, and then it turns out that it's not. So maybe there are some patterns that people have been following, like getting married for these reasons, when maybe they didn't really need to get married, and then later they don't have to go through a terrible divorce or something like that. So I think that's what she was talking about. And yeah, every time period has different reasons, for why is it good to get married, or why is it not? And it seems like people nowadays, are less and less young people are wanting to get married so soon. So it keeps changing. Selma, do you have anything you want to say about this? What do you think about marriage?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I don't think that third example is for US.
The third example? Let's see, which one? To fix the other person?
No, fourth.
Oh, to legitimize the sex? Well, it depends on which part of the United States you're living in. If you're living in New York City, probably not. Not a problem. But if you're coming from the Midwest or some very conservative religious community, definitely still happens. Yeah. Selma, what do you think?
Well, teacher, I think that I live in such situations in my society, so I love the article. I enjoy reading the article, but I think that although these mistakes that people may fall in, I think it's a good idea to get married because we would have children, and children would make you forget your suffering, and especially when you look at them or you see their smile. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay, great. All right, everybody, our time is up for this class. Thank you for coming to class and reading. And like I said, it was something a little different than what I usually do, not business, not technology or success or something, but relationships. And I think it's good to have different types of reading for the reading class because it helps you guys have more experience with English, because this is an English class also, across lots of different topics. So I hope you guys learned some new vocabulary words and got introduced to some new phrases perhaps. And maybe you'll think about these ideas and see how it relates to your own life or not. So thanks for coming and talking. I have another class in 2 more hours, going to be a speaking class, so we'll be doing a lot more discussion, talking about stuff. So maybe I'll see you in that class. Otherwise, thanks for coming, and I'll see you another time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye, Aisha.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dennis.
Bye.
Bye, Javier.
Bye.
Bye, Liz.
Bye.
And for the people who didn't get in, Verbling says they're working on it right now. It was a problem on the Google Hangout side, so we'll see if we can get a full class next time. Thanks.